Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to talk about my week 1 recap of the 323 Affliction League in Path of Exile. And yeah, I would say we start right away from like the league start, the league start build, the gearing, the currency, the build choices, the strategies, how I like this one and not like the other one and stuff like that. And I would say we're just gonna start right into the action. The league start evening was mediocre at best. You know, GG had a bunch of like server issues. If you start the league on like 8 p.m., at least it was my time when it started, so many crashes, so many disconnects, and yeah, a lot of queue times. And I think from the first 5 hours of playtime, I lost like an hour where I was just waiting for the game to reconnect, to you know, wait for the queues and so on. Wasn't that cool, but you know, it is what it is. A lot of people are playing the game, a lot of people are enjoying the game, and I think that is great, but could have been a lot better. My league starter was a Val Arc Mana Stacking Ignite Elementalist, and I really enjoyed this character. I did play it last league as my second plan league starter because I started with the Infernal Blow Ignite that was like not that great, so I swapped over to the Arc version and I really enjoyed the build. I cleared the entire Atlas with it on a pretty lower budget. I think I started with like 3 Divines investment, ended with like 20 or 25 Divines, and it was a real joy to play. And that's the reason why I took another shot at the Val Arc Mana Stacker this league, and it did clear all the Atlas, like 150 map completion, as well as the first 2 Void Stones, which was the Searing Exarch and the Eat All Worlds. And I gotta say, it was just like really a breeze to play. But then I think like on day 3 is when I finished everything. This GGG showed us the Transfigured Gems part number 5, I think it was. I saw the list like an hour before the league started, and that was a gem, you know, the Power Siphon of the Archmage, and I was like, bro, finally it's time to do mana stacking, attack builds with the Mind of the Council. I had like planned it out quite well. Sadly, the Val Power Siphon, or Power Siphon in general, was not that great at all, because they reworked the skill. Instead of like firing additional projectiles that then can like chain, pierce, fork, whatever you can do with that, and like kind of shotgun with like barrage support, returning projectiles, have insane boss DPS. And I felt like I'm doing like a KB setup for clearing on the 4-link should be enough because of the mana stacking, and then basically use the Archmage Power Siphon to just blast away bosses. But sadly, with the new reworked one, this just doesn't work the way, because hey, if there is only one target, you shoot 1 projectile, so the returning projectiles, like the barrage setup and everything, it was just not good. Which is kind of sad, because I really had high hopes in the build and I wanted to do it further, but you know, there is so many builds that I want to play this league, so instead of making something work that I initially planned differently, I said like, you know what, scrap that, we move on. Day 5 of the league or something, day 4, let's just level the 3rd character up, and we ended up with the Charge Stacking Slayer. And it was day number 7, it was today, where I dropped my first Divine Orb. And I killed over 500,000 monsters. I think I have like 250,000 combined on my Scion and the Elementalist League starter. And on this guy here, I have already over 300,000. So I killed like over 500,000 monsters and not a single Divine Orb drop while playing like 12, 13, 14 hours per day, which is kind of like, damn, that's actually sad. But today, I actually dropped 5 Divine Orbs. And no, this was not a Divine Orb Shrine. It was literally in the session today, like 12 hours or something. I dropped 5 Divine Orbs, so now the RNG is basically slowly coming back. I mean, I never had good RNG, but going 7 days without Divine Orb is just absolutely crazy. But it is what it is, and I also found one of these new puzzle boxes today. The Valdos puzzle box. I opened it and I got a map with a foiled Progenesis flask as a map reward. And since I was building up this character at the moment and I felt like I just want to sell it, or ask somebody else to do it for me. And a friend of mine, he's running, I think, like a 250 Divines Penance brand build right now, like already farming the Uber bosses. I gave him the map and he farmed, or he did the map for me, and I sold the Progenesis for like 30 Divines, and that's why it's pretty looking good right now with like still like a 26 Divines over here. And thinking about the 30 Divines today from the map, and then another 5 Divines dropped. So I think like 80% of the entire currency that I've done in the first week is just coming from today, basically. Which is not too true, because just by farming, you just make so much currency. Because I think on an average league, I would say I do around 100 to 150 Divines in the first week. This time it's around about 100 Divines, so maybe like 70 Divines, it depends. I still have quite a bunch of like expensive items on this build as well. For example, my Sublime Vision, which is perfectly rolled, but they started like, and this is not true. So they're usually somewhere around like 8 to 12 Divines on this part. I got some very nice other things when it comes to like, I think one here, a triple multi-jewel with cast speed. This is also like a couple Divines. So my character probably has around 30 Divines, maybe 40 Divines investment with the current standings, and I still have like, so that's why I say like probably all overall 80 to 100 Divines after the first week in the solo play, while being super unlucky in the start just by sheer amount of like just grind, and yeah, just having fun in the game and doing as much as possible. So it was okay, and we can still get going and build more and cooler characters and move on with the grinding. When it comes to the Atlas strategy, I'm currently running something like this. You can screenshot it if you want. It basically blocks out every mechanic, because I don't want to play mechanics that I haven't spec'd into. So this is basically map sustain. So all the map modifiers here with shaping the skies, shaping the mountains, shaping the world, and all the quantity nodes, as well as like chances of dropping higher tier. Then the Eater of Worlds, because I'm always down to hunt down the Divine Orb altar, and the Guardian sustain thingies here. So I have a chance when I'm killing T11 plus or T14 plus monsters to drop synthesized maps, Shaper and Elder maps, as well as Conqueror maps, and that's how I found my fragments to do all the favorite map slots that I've done today. So overall, pretty easy setup, nothing too special. Just farm your maps and kill the bosses, and don't waste your time too much with league mechanics that you haven't spec'd into. Let's talk about the league mechanic, and this is when I'm gonna show a map showcase, or at least probably we're gonna run 2 map showcase while I'm talking, basically. So you can see that as well. We're gonna run the first one. It's just a Crimson Temple map, than what I'm currently playing. The first one is going to be the regular one. Let me quickly get the sound a little bit lower here from the in-game. I'm gonna do the first one without league mechanic, and the second one with league mechanic, okay? So you guys see the difference. Without, yeah, I mean, actually quite interesting. So I'm playing here a Winter Orb charge stacking, yeah, Slayer. If you want to know more about the build, I uploaded the build guide, or the first edition of the build guide, yesterday. So you can check out the video. It now has better gear and more upgrades, and like over 300% increased AoE, and it's just an absolute joy to play this build. But to not make this video too long, I just want to like, I'm actually not gonna care about it, just read if there is a Divine altar. But as you see, build's doing super fine, boss DPS, this one is ghosted, dies within like a couple seconds, not even like 2 seconds or something. But you see that the build is doing super fine when it comes to this kind of map, right? And I hope I don't drop an Apothecary right here. I mean, that would be great. But I think I just leave the map just so you can see basically the difference, right? You saw the clearing, you saw the boss damage, everything is fine. It's a super nice build, nothing to say about that. But if we do the league mechanic, things can get really crazy. And yeah, I mean, the league mechanic itself, I think, is pretty cool. You just go in, there is like stuff that you can discover from the currency drops over NPC, over the new relics, and things that you can experience in this league, especially with the charms and everything. You can make tons of currency with it. And there is 3 forms of colors in here, the wisps. There's the purple ones, the yellow ones, and the blue ones. I think the blue one is currency drops, the yellow one is quantity, and the purple one is rarity. And overall, I think running in here, it doesn't take a lot of time to do the league mechanic, and then it boosts your entire map and afflicts certain monsters and bosses and whatnot with these modifiers based on which wisps you found. And I think this is actually a really cool idea. I just think something went wrong with the scaling of the monsters. I have seen blue monsters that were triple empowered that had like 10 times more life than the actual map boss, and we're talking about a blue monster. There has been, I had this today, there was a rare essence monster which was ghosted, and it had triple essence and physical, like this damage reduction thing, not physical but the cycling damage reduction. And I think I fought it for a minute until it died. And I don't know, I can kill a map boss in like 2 seconds, but this monster, that's why I say, the proportions is a bit out. But overall, my build is super fast. I can do the league mechanics super fast, so I'm just running around trying to collect those whiffs. The more I get, the better, the more juice it's gonna be, right? There is bosses in here, so all that is pretty cool. I would just wish that GGG would, yeah, fix that a little bit. I hope this is gonna be a super massive heart juice now for the monsters, so you can actually see the difference on how tanky these monsters can get once you start playing the league mechanic. I'm just not finding too many wisps right now, which is kind of sad, because sometimes you just find like orbs that make it even longer, so now it explodes, now the monsters are buffed. I'm not sure, but you're gonna basically see the difference of like monsters instantly popping and other monsters just not dying at all. Here's one of those. I mean, this is just like not even empowered, it was just cycling damage reduction. But this is basically what it looks like once you find these empowered monsters. I think, as I said, it's just a bit sad right now that none of the monsters is like insanely empowered, because I didn't found too many wisps. But believe me when I say that some of the monsters just take like 10 times longer than what it would be naturally. And the more you juice, the harder it gets once you have like life modifiers on there as well. So there is a bit of... So here's boss damage. This is like the perfect example now. There is no life modifiers on this map, and I have an empowered shrine dealing more damage. And you see the comparison on how long this boss took compared to the one where we didn't actually empower monsters. Here is another empowered monster. Takes like a couple seconds longer instead of like one-shotting it. And these are like single empowered, and I don't even had a lot of wisps. So you can imagine how the scaling goes up crazy. And I think my build is doing good. I think I have good DPS. But some monsters I'm literally skipping because it's not worth the effort fighting a rare monster for like 30 seconds when in the end of the day it drops a 6-socket item for 7 jewelers, and that's pretty much it, you know? I just think it's a complete, how would you say, out of, not out of control, but it just doesn't match, you know? The amount of time needed to find these monsters compared to what they drop is just not in line, and I would like that GGG would fix that a little bit. They could have half the HP when empowered, and they would still be insanely tanky, you know? So this is, I think, a minor point, or not even minor, but I'm doing the league mechanic every time, but I started to skip certain rare monsters because they take just forever to kill, and there is no point for me, it's just a waste of time. I could run an entire map without empowerment, and surely profit more than maybe trying to fight off, like, this mini Uber boss essence somewhere in there. Anyways, when it comes to the new stuff, and oh boy, I had so much fun today just trying out this new random stuff. So basically the new ascendancy, the charms give you like so much power for every build. You just need to find options to put them in, right? But now I want to show you like some skills that we tested today, which I thought were actually pretty cool. Here we have, for example, another Conqueror map. It's like 30 chaos, super easy. Self-sustainable, no investment strategy with like this Conqueror things, right? So let's run one more map with these things over here. So I picked up 3 skills here that I think were quite funny. The first one is Divine Ire of Holy Lightning. So the regular one is loading up and then shooting the beam. With this version you don't load up. I mean, you load up, but you're just doing an explosion similar to Dark Pact, for example. So there is no beam component, but for the mapping, I think it's quite fun. Please note that this is now a 5-link because something like GMP doesn't work for Divine Ire because there are no projectiles, but it's just for the showcase, so you can see how something like that would look like. And the gem is level 10. So basically, you're just crystallizing everything up, and whatever comes into range is just exploding. Which is like kind of the similar one that the Divine Ire was, but instead of the beam, we're gonna have this like massive explosion. And the AoE is quite heavy. So if I just walk into a pack, I channel this one up, and then move further, channel up, further, channel up, further, channel up. I think it is quite fancy, especially when you think about doing maybe an Ignite version out of that. So I think like this, I like this version definitely more than the one with the beam, because like this extra explosion is dealing like quite some massive damage. Then another one is the Lightning Conduit of the Heavens, which is basically Lightning Conduit, just it acted like usually you need to shock an enemy, and based on the shock effect you can then release this lightning explosion with the more damage multiplier per shock on the enemy, something like that. With a Lightning Conduit of the Heavens, you don't need to shock an enemy, and you basically just cast down this like lightning storm whenever there is a monster nearby, which I think is pretty cool as well. Just because you don't need to shock anymore. There is no 2-button component anymore. It's just like probably based on your AoE, probably a screen wide on your cursor. So when there's like monsters somewhere, you can just like blow them up. Even if like there's like many monsters, you just go in, you keep the cursor on your character, and you just start blowing up things. And I think this is actually quite fun as well if you think about it. No more a 2-button playstyle. You just like have an AoE, yeah, lightning storm. I can definitely see something like this with a cyclone cast while channeling support, or cast on crit support with the Lightning Conduit of the Heavens, to just have like this massive AoE spikes while you're just cycloning around, which I think is pretty fun. But my all-time favorite that I discovered now, and I'm pretty sure there is like many more skills, and this was a full link by the way, because GMP and infused channeling doesn't work. My favorite so far is the Flame Blast of Contraction. And this is a reversed Flame Blast. You know, usually Flame Blast is like a skill where you like extend and then do more damage the bigger the circle gets. And this one is the opposite. It starts big, and then it does more damage the smaller the circle gets. Why do I think this is fun? Because it has an insane coverage when you run around. You can basically just spam it. And by the way, this is a level 3 gem right now. And then it has a skill component where the smaller circle gets, the harder it is to hit, but the more damage it's doing, and it is up to like 250% more damage with ailments for each stage, or 600% more damage for each stage. It's more spell damage, and I'm currently having like what, 11 stages, so that's 6,600% more spell damage. If you're able to hit the small circle on the boss, it's kind of insane. But just moving around like that and spam this like big circle, I mean, what the actual hell? This is actually so cool, and I really enjoyed that. Especially, as I said, with this like yeah, the skill component. But just thinking about, I mean, this is just my base generic character with a lot of AoE and damage and everything, but just moving around and just tapping this button and have like AoE screens, man, it's actually so cool. And then when there's like another boss, you kind of need to like get it down here to explode it. And as I said, now the gem is level 4, and it's also on a 5 link because GMP doesn't work here either. But you know, it's like if you get like, dude, I just hit him like half of the HP. It has 58% more monster life on the map. And I just hit him with a level 4 skill gem and removed half of its life, man. This is, you know, just running around and spamming that shit with seemingly no cooldown. It is so fun. And as I said, these are just like 3 skill gems that I encountered today, which I thought is like way more fun than anything else that I've played so far. At least like super fun. And there is like 100 transfigure gems, and I cannot wait to see all of them and make builds around it. At the moment, I'm just thinking like, yo, make an Ignite build out of the Flame Blast of Contraction with a lot of speed, and just blow up screens, ignite prolifs, and then if you're able to get this like mini circle over here, boom, and you have like a, I don't know, like 3,000% more ignite damage, easy ignite cap. For bossing and uber bosses, I think that might be great. But yeah, overall, really enjoying the league. There could be some changes which would make the league even better, and I hope that G2G will adjust to that. But yeah, I'm gonna keep you guys updated through the build progression. I hope it's gonna work out the way that I plan to do it, which is like lots of builds, lot of cool fancy builds, and that just brings a lot of fun. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.